There was only one bag of panda blood left in the hospital. My three sisters were nearly frantic. They shouted that the blood should go to Gu Huai. We choose Gu Huai. Gu Chen, you can pull through on your own. But Gu Huai had only suffered a small scrape. In my previous life, I was the true young master of the richest family. In my own villa, my three sisters rushed into the fire risking their lives, but only to save that fake young master who hadn't woken up yet. They had completely forgotten about me, locked in the servants' room. That unbearable pain of being swallowed by flames, every inch of skin scorched, I will never forget it for the rest of my life. Perhaps even heaven couldn't bear to watch. It gave me a chance to start over. But this time, I am truly exhausted. The family love I once desperately longed for only brought me endless pain in the end. So why, in this life, have they come to regret it? Before I could come to my senses, a heavy knocking suddenly rang at my door. Second sister Gu Qinghan scolded fiercely from outside. Gu Chen, you've gotten bold, haven't you? Open the door right now. If I'd known you were this kind of ill-mannered child, I never should have brought you home. Before she could finish, I opened the old, slightly worn door. Gu Qinghan was about to speak, but she saw me raise my hand and slam a wooden puppet, missing one arm, hard onto the ground. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I shouldn't have competed with Gu Huai for attention. In my previous life, the reason I got so angry, even going so far as to have a huge fight with Gu Huai, was because of this puppet. This was given to me by second sister Gu Qinghan when I first returned to the Gu family. I treasured it like my life, even placing it at my bedside. But Gu Huai, knowing all this, still chose to fight me for it. He deliberately broke one of the puppet's arms. In that moment, Gu Huaiyan's smile felt like a warning. Don't dream of getting things that were never meant for you. But now I don't care about any of that anymore. The people downstairs heard the commotion and came up one by one. Father Gu Jun, saw the shattered puppet pieces on the floor and couldn't help but frown slightly. And Gu Huai, the fake young master, immediately reddened his eyes. I'm sorry, Gu Chenge. It's my fault. You can hit me or scold me. But don't take it out on Jie. She only called you to eat because she cares about you. In the past, hearing those words would have made me furious. But now I don't care about any of it. I just found the whole scene pathetically laughable. Enough. You're a man. Stop crying at the drop of a hat. Isn't that disgusting? I leaned carelessly against the doorframe, watching Gu Huai's performance without a shred of interest. Gu Huai froze. He hadn't expected me to say that. And this business of calling me down to eat? Have any of you ever once waited for me? It's truly laughable. Every single mealtime and nobody ever notified me. Whether I was late or early, Father Gu would berate me either way. Late meant I didn't know the meal schedule. Early meant I was greedy. The double standard was off the charts. Gu Chen, I see you're getting more and more disrespectful. Your younger brother only means well. Mother Lu Qing stepped forward. She was my biological mother. Yet her attitude toward me versus Gu Huai was worlds apart, not even by a little. This blatant favoritism was something I had long grown used to. I waved my hand helplessly. Whatever you say. Then I closed the door directly, shutting everyone out. Then you won't eat dinner today. She said that, and took everyone downstairs, leaving only second sister Gu Qinghan standing there in a daze. She stared blankly at the broken puppet pieces on the floor, only then remembering she had personally given it to me. I used to treat that puppet as the most precious thing I had. So why did I smash it today? She kept feeling like I had changed, that I wasn't the same as before. Before, whenever she got angry, I would apologize like an obedient kitten. But now I couldn't care less about what was happening outside that door. I just lay on the bed and went straight to sleep. I was truly exhausted. The next morning I did a quick wash and left early. After all, nobody cares about my existence. Better to leave sooner. Better not to be an eyesore to this family. But I didn't expect to run into eldest sister Gu Wanqing in the main hall, sitting there drinking coffee. Gu Wanqing, the one whose management had made the Gu family company flourish. I had no intention of dealing with her, but the moment I pushed open the door, a cool, questioning voice came from behind me. Where are you going? School. I walked straight out of the Gu family villa without giving her a single chance to react. Eldest sister frowned her elegant brows, puzzled by her brother's behavior. Before, whenever I saw her, I would come up to her with a sweet greeting, though she never acknowledged me. In her view, I had come back only to get my hands on the Gu family's wealth, and had even stolen her jewelry. But today, I was completely different. Actually, every person in the Gu family had their own dedicated driver for pickups and drop-offs. Only I had none. I never asked for one because I didn't want the family to think I was after luxury. But in the end, it didn't change how they saw me. Walking on the road, I felt the long-missed breeze. Only then did I truly feel that I was really still alive. It turns out that when you stop caring, you stop getting hurt. The family love I desperately craved was probably just a joke to them. From now on, I will never long for it again. When I arrived at school and sat down to open my books, high school entrance exams were coming. In my previous life, I threw all my energy at those so-called family members and wasted my natural talent. My once top-ranking grades had plummeted. This life I will study properly. I'll make up for everything I fell behind on. Back at the Gu family, Father Gu sat in silence staring at the table like a volcano about to erupt. Where is Gu Chen? Hasn't he gotten up yet? What time is it? Does he expect us all to wait for one person? Gu Huai gently spoke up. Gu Chen Gi might still be upset at second sister. Let me go upstairs and apologize to him. He was about to stand when Gu Qinghan pulled him back down. He's still angry? What right does he have to be angry? It was just a wooden puppet. When I get back I'll just buy him another one. Gu Qinghan was about to say more when eldest sister Gu Wanqing, who had been silent, spoke. He's already gone. At that, the dining table fell quiet for a moment. After a while, Father Gu slowly spoke. Gone this early? Where did he go? Steward Liu. Who's responsible for Gu Chen's driver? Steward Liu, the slightly gray-haired man standing to the side, stepped forward right away. Sir, young Master Gu Chen has always walked to school on his own. Steward Liu didn't quite understand either. Gu Chen was also a member of the Gu family, so why was he the only one who had to walk? Father Gu slammed the table. Who told him to walk? Or does he think the Gu family can't even afford a driver? Sir, it was you who said the young master had just returned and shouldn't seem too flashy, so no driver was arranged. Steward Liu said quietly. Father Gu fell silent. He had been thinking that since I had just been brought back from outside, I probably had bad habits, and he worried I might do something to embarrass the Gu family. So he had temporarily not arranged a driver. He hadn't expected a year to pass just like that. Father Gu rubbed his tensed brow. Arrange someone to drive Gu Chen. He doesn't know to say a word about it himself, just walks every day. What kind of way is that? He clearly had made the mistake himself, yet was still pushing the reason onto me. Yes, sir. Steward Liu agreed and turned to find a suitable person. Mother Liu Qing also wore a look of blame toward Father Gu, seeming to resent why she hadn't noticed sooner. But that didn't mean she cared all that much about me. She was only ashamed of her own failure as a mother. Sure enough, when school let out that evening, a luxury car stopped in front of me. Young master, please get in. A young man in a suit hurried out and opened the car door. And sitting in the back seat was second sister Gu Qinghan. I was a little dazed. What's going on here? Seeing me unmoved, Gu Qinghan frowned slightly and directly pulled me in. Driver Xiao Zhang coughed awkwardly a couple of times, said drive safely and started the car. What, you're waiting for me to apologize to you? Gu Qinghan looked at me with displeasure, but I completely ignored her. I really couldn't figure out what was going on in her head. Seeing no reaction from me, Gu Qinghan grew more irritated and grabbed my wrist. But in grabbing it she realized my wrist was terrifyingly thin. She finally saw how gaunt and frail my entire frame was. Have you always been this thin? Yes. Before being found by the Gu family I had been wandering the streets. Going hungry was common. Just surviving had been hard enough. After coming to the Gu family because everyone ignored me I often missed meal times. Sometimes even when I made it to a meal, I would be scolded halfway through for one reason or another and naturally couldn't eat. The Gu family was a distinguished household with strict rules. Once mealtime passed, no more food was allowed. As for snacks, after being scolded one too many times, I stopped touching them entirely. I didn't want the family to dislike me, so I was always very obedient. If not for the nanny in the next room, Auntie Zhang, who would secretly set food aside for me, I would probably be even thinner than I already am. I pulled my hand back. I should thank you. The Gu family gave me a place to stay. Having a servant's room to sleep in is still better than wandering. What do you mean? What is this your Gu family? Gu Qinghan's brief flicker of guilt was instantly replaced by anger. Is Gu Chen not a member of the Gu family anymore? It's because you were stealing that you deliberately knocked Gu Huai down and kept company with shady people outside. Is that why we disliked you so much? I was speechless. I turned to look out the window and said nothing more. Back at the Gu family villa, I looked at the food on the table. I was so hungry my head was spinning. From when I woke up until now, I had gone a full day and night without eating. You still know how to come back? Father Gu slammed the table. In the past, I would have bowed my head and trembled, waiting to be scolded, and in the end wouldn't even get to eat. Just slink back to the servant's room to reflect on my faults. But this time I simply sat down and placed a document in front of Father Gu. After reading the contents, Father Gu erupted like a volcano and kicked me to the ground. I lay there for a good while before recovering. Blood was even seeping from the corner of my mouth. Mother Liu Qing and second sister Gu Qinghan were both stunned by this sudden scene. Only Gu Huai sat in his chair, secretly delighted. That despicable Gu Chen. I told you long ago, everything here will belong to me. Even if you're the biological son, so what? After Liu Qing came to her senses, she rushed forward and grabbed me. Gu Jun, what are you doing? I had already lost consciousness. In my last moment of awareness, I even felt a trace of life slipping away. Perhaps just dying like this wouldn't be so bad. Father Gu also realized he had struck too hard. The usual authority drained from his face, replaced by panic. Call an ambulance. Eldest sister Gu Wanqing, who had been watching, could no longer stay seated. She pulled out her phone and dialed 120. When the ambulance arrived, everyone rushed to carry me. Liu Qing sat by my side the whole time, praying I'd be all right. Gu Huai also wanted to come, but was refused by Father Gu. You stay home. Looking at everyone scrambling around for me, Gu Huai's eyes were filled with undisguised venom. Gu Chen, why won't you just die? Why did you have to come back? But he had no idea it was him who had stolen everything that rightfully belonged to me. At the hospital, I was pushed into the emergency room with an oxygen mask. Liu Qi was in tears, desperately pounding on Father Gu. Why did you strike the child that hard? I just lost my head for a moment. The thing is, Father Gu then handed everyone the document I had given him. On it were the words, "Agreement to sever parent-child relationship." Everyone's eyes went wide. They stared at the document in disbelief. The scene fell into a long silence. It wasn't until the operating room doors opened that everyone snapped back. Is anyone here the patient's family? A doctor in a white coat asked the group with a clipboard. I'm his mother. Is he all right? Mother stepped forward and grabbed the doctor's shoulder, her voice full of emotion. The doctor looked puzzled at the people in front of him. They were all well-dressed, clearly wealthy people. And yet the patient inside was so emaciated. Nothing serious. It's just that long-term malnutrition has left his body extremely weak. Plus the fall you mentioned, he'll need rest at home and proper nutrition. That should be enough. The doctor was actually very curious about how exactly the fall had happened to leave someone in this condition. Was the family hiding something? Hearing that I was all right, Liu Qin finally let out a breath of relief. Doctor, can we go in now? You can. But don't agitate the patient. Of course. Thank you, doctor. Liu Qin pushed open the ward door and walked quietly to my bedside. Father Gu also wanted to go in, but was stopped by eldest sister. Dad, wait outside for now. Father Gu knew he was at fault and said nothing. He had only meant to teach me a lesson. He hadn't expected my body to be this fragile. But even then, he was still thinking. It was Gu Chen who wasn't living properly. How dare he try to sever the parent-child relationship? Is it Gu Jun who owes Gu Chen? Or is it the Gu family that owes Gu Chen? If not for the Gu family, Gu Chen would still be an orphan. Even now he hadn't recognized his own mistake. If they hadn't carelessly let me get lost all those years ago, how would I have suffered so much out there? Not even enjoying the basic warmth a normal family should have. Lu Qing looked at me lying pale on the hospital bed, and couldn't help but feel tears rising. She was about to reach out and touch my face, but I pulled away directly. Her hand hovered awkwardly in the air, and finally she could only gently pull it back. Hey Chen, it's Mom, I'm sorry, will you come home with Mom? Hearing that, I was actually intrigued. I propped myself up to sit. Liu Qin hurried to support me, as if terrified I'd be hurt again. You want me to go back? Sure. The corners of my eyes curled with a smile. I've long since stopped holding any hope for these people. Send Gu Huai away, and I'll go back. He's occupied my life for 17 years. That's not an unreasonable request, is it? Before, I thought one more or one less person made no difference. Even without blood ties, I was willing to coexist peacefully with Gu Huai, the fake young master who had taken my identity. But later I realized Gu Huai never intended to coexist peacefully with me. He just wanted to drive me away and completely take over my identity. Since that's how it is, I'll grant him his wish. Gu Chen, don't push your luck. Second sister Gu Qinghan was the first to stand up, eyes full of anger. Ah Chen, Ah Hua has no family left. He's very pitiful. You'd have him leave right now. How would he survive? Even Liu Qin's hands trembled. She hadn't expected me to make this kind of demand. How would he survive? He's nearly an adult. Can't he live on his own? How did I survive these past 10+ years from birth until now? I let out a cold snort. I'm an orphan, and I managed to survive. Gu Huai is a grown man almost of age. How could he possibly not survive? That's just an excuse. Gu Chen, don't overstep. Eldest sister Gu Wanqing, who had been silent, spoke up. She did feel some guilt toward me, but compared to me, she cared more about Gu Huai, who she had lived with for over a decade. For any other condition, she might have agreed. But not this one. I looked at the three people in front of me and yawned. I had expected this result. Perhaps deep down I still had a tiny bit of hope that they would agree to send Gu Huai away. Since you've all said so, what can I do? Hearing me yield, Liu Qin let out a slight breath of relief. In her heart, she still didn't want Gu Huai, whom she had raised for over 10 years, to leave. After all, 10+ years of affection was real. Then let's go home. Her words weren't finished before I cut her off. Then let's sever the relationship. What? Liu Qin's whole body trembled. Although she had seen the document outside, she hadn't expected me to say it out loud. Are you threatening us? Eldest sister's brows furrowed tightly. She only felt that I had changed. The old me would never have said something like this. But she had forgotten. The old me would never have imagined that they would leave me alone in a sea of fire and let me burn to death alive. I said, since you won't send Gu Huai away, then let's sever the relationship. I said each word clearly, afraid they hadn't heard. Father Gu, who had been waiting outside, could no longer hold back and pushed the door open. Fine. Starting now, you are no longer a member of the Gu family. He immediately signed his name on the document and flung it in front of me. He believed I was just posturing, that I wouldn't dare truly sever ties. After all, becoming a member of the Gu family was something countless people dreamed of. Before long, I would come back crying and begging his forgiveness. Actually, Liu Qin, eldest sister, and second sister, all thought the same. They all assumed I was just saying it. Excellent. Then I must thank you, Mr. Gu. Without a moment's hesitation, I picked up the doctor's pen from beside me and quickly signed my own name. This left everyone rooted to the spot. None of them had imagined I would actually sign. Not even business powerhouse eldest sister Gu Wangqing could believe what she was seeing as she stared at the pen in my hand. Only now did she truly understand. I genuinely did not care about the Gu family. You ungrateful child, you actually dared to sign. Very well, let's go. Father Gu shook with rage. I want to see how Gu Chen survives without the Gu family's support. He turned and left. Liu Qin rushed forward to pull him back. Even though she hadn't expected me to truly sever the relationship, I was her biological son, flesh from her own body. Gu Qinghan was completely stunned. It wasn't until eldest sister tugged at her sleeve that she came back to her senses. Gu Chen, don't come crying to us. At this point, Gu Wangqing still believed I didn't truly not care about them, that I just wanted to get their attention. Before long, I would come running back the same way I always had. She believed if she just waited a few days, I would show up at their door apologizing and begging to come home. Leave quickly. Today is Ahuai's birthday. Gu Qinghan, Gu Wangqing, and Liu Qin haven't prepared her gift yet, have they? Of course they prepared it. Back then it was him who saved me from the water. He's my most beloved little brother, Gu Wangqing said. At the entrance of the Baijiahan Earl Hotel in the city, cars lined the street. Guests poured in and out. Thank you all for gracing us with your presence at my son's coming-of-age ceremony. The banquet is now officially beginning. As Father Gu's words fell, the curtain of the evening rose. A dozen or so young heirs and heiresses from prominent Haishi families surrounded Gu Huai, presenting gifts one after another. Gu Huai's face was full of undisguised joy. Gu Chen actually left for real. Now the entire Gu family is mine. You only have yourself to blame, Gu Chen. You never should have come back. Eldest sister Gu Qing'an, dressed in a gorgeous gown, looked somewhat distracted. What's wrong? Second sister Gu Wanqing asked. Nothing, I was just thinking of Chen. At that, Gu Wanqing also fell silent. Indeed, today was also my birthday. Eldest sis, second sis, where are my gifts? Gu Huai walked over and sat beside them, expectantly asking for his presents. Gu Wanqing pulled out a beautiful box from behind her. This is a Patek Philippe watch. Do you like it? Of course. Thank you, eldest sis, Gu Huai said happily, then turned to look at Gu Qinghan. Second sis, what's my gift? You didn't forget, did you? Gu Qinghan snapped out of her daze. How could I, little brother? This is what second sis prepared for you, a Porsche. You're an adult now. You can't be without your own car. Only Gu Huai didn't notice the small box behind Gu Qinghan. Inside was the puppet I had smashed and she had repaired with her own hands. I'm stepping out for a moment. Before Gu Huai could even thank Gu Qinghan, she took the small box and quickly left. When I returned to the orphanage, I found not a single person inside. What's going on? Did something happen? I anxiously pushed open the door, and then came a burst of confetti, slowly drifting down onto my shoulders. Happy birthday, Gu Chenge. Over a dozen children scrambled up onto me like they were climbing a tree. Gu Chenge, this is your birthday gift. A little girl named Xiao Xiao drew this for you with her own hands. She handed me a painting made up of countless tangled lines. I'd call it the representative of abstract art, but I still accepted it with genuine delight. Gu Chenji, this is my spinning top. Blazing whirlwind, you better take good care of it. And my Ultraman cards, looking at all the haphazard gifts laid before me. Spinning tops, yo-yos, Ultraman cards. I was caught somewhere between laughter and tears, yet I accepted each one with full solemnity, because I knew that these seemingly worthless things were the very best these little kids had to offer. All right, get down. Are you trying to crush Gu Chenge? A 15 or 16-year-old girl stepped forward. The children scrambled back to their seats like they'd seen a monster. This girl was Mu Wanning. She handed me a jar full of origami cranes. This is for you. Looking at the jar packed full of colorful paper cranes, my heart warmed. I understood. This was folded one by one in the little scraps of time she'd squeezed from studying. Gu Chen, don't read into it. I bought these. They're definitely not hand-folded, Mu Wanning explained, a little flustered. I ruffled her small head. I know, thank you. As the birthday song began, a single tear slid from the corner of my eye. In my previous life, I threw everything into those so-called family members, and completely overlooked the people who truly loved me. It turns out that in this dark night, there was still a small faint candle flame, burning just for me. Like this moment. The flame is small, but it belongs to me alone. All right, turn the lights on. Let me cut the cake for everyone. I blew out the candles in front of me, but made no wish. Rather than believing in wishes that vanish into thin air, I'd rather believe in myself. The cake was small. Everyone only got a tiny piece. Mu Wanning noticed I hadn't left any for myself and was instantly indignant. But still, with all her signature prideful flair, she pushed her own piece toward me. This one's for you. Don't read into it. I'm on a diet. I smiled at Mu Wanning, who was even thinner than me. I only took a small piece and tasted it. Outside the orphanage door, a figure in a gorgeous formal gown paced back and forth. Finally, as if she had made up her mind, Gu Qinghan lifted her gown and stepped over the orphanage's worn threshold. When I saw Gu Qinghan, I couldn't help but sigh. Haven't I already left that home to Gu Huai and them? Why won't they leave me in peace? Do they have to burn me alive before they're satisfied? Gu miss. If there's nothing you need, please go back. Gu Qinghan grabbed my hand. Come back with me. Just apologize. They won't say anything. A flicker of sadness rose in my heart. Then please, Gu miss, tell me why I should apologize. What did I do wrong? Gu Qinghan stammered for a long time, like a fishbone lodged in her throat. She couldn't get a single word out. She knew I had done nothing wrong. She just still assumed I was like before, that no matter whose fault it was, I would take the initiative and apologize. Because in her eyes, I was a wild, unmannered child from the outside. You shouldn't have used that agreement to threaten us, Gu Chen. Why do you insist on driving Huai away? On one side there's the foster brother I've had feelings for over 10 years. On the other there's my blood-related little brother. How am I supposed to choose? Don't push it too far. Have you ever truly treated me as your little brother? I shot back. In the rainstorm you made me kneel outside for a whole day and night. I was running a fever, but you were busy celebrating that fake little brother's birthday. I seemed to give up arguing. I sighed. Forget it. Go home. Doing that foolish thing of placing hope in so-called family once was enough in the last lifetime. But Gu Qinghan still clung tightly to my arm. I'm sorry, I was wrong before. I shouldn't have said those things. This is the birthday gift I prepared for you. She opened a small box. Inside was the puppet I had smashed, repaired by her own hands. I fixed it myself. I picked up the puppet and looked at it carefully. Thank you. But the very next second, under Gu Qinghan's shocked gaze, I dropped the puppet directly into the nearby trash bin. I had thrown away with my own hands what I once treated as more precious than life itself. Gu Qinghan walked home in a daze. When she arrived, everyone had been waiting for her for quite some time. Where did you go during your little brother's coming-of-age ceremony? Father Gu was furious. Gu Qinghan came back to herself. She looked at everyone in front of her and said, word by word, I went to see a Chen. A thunderous crash. Father Gu flung a precious cup to the floor. Who told you to go see him? Beside him, Gu Huai also clenched his palms so hard his nails dug into his flesh, yet felt nothing. Gu Chen, why won't you just die there? You should have died there long ago. Today is Chen's birthday. Gu Qinghan said softly. At that, the room went utterly silent. Even the words Father Gu had been about to shout were lodged in his mouth. If word got out that the Gu family had thrown such a grand coming-of-age ceremony for a fake young master while driving their own biological son out the door, who knows how many rumors would spread? Liu Qin's eyes instantly reddened. She, as his mother, had actually forgotten her own biological son's birthday. I'm leaving now, Gu Qinghan said with a desolate look. She still couldn't believe that I had thrown away the puppet she had repaired with her own hands right in front of her. Before, no matter what happened, I would always listen to her. She had just scolded me a little. But why had she scolded me again? Oh, it seemed Gu Huai had accidentally broken the puppet's arm. But Gu Huai hadn't done it on purpose. She said she was just curious and wanted to look at it. Suddenly Gu Qinghan seemed to think of something. Gu Huai had everything, so why did he specifically have to take my puppet? Realizing this, she completely panicked. How could this be? I'm sorry. But now it was all too late. Liu Qin frantically told the driver to start the car. She wanted to go find her son, but what good would that do? Love that comes too late is worth less than grass. And the agreement had already been signed. By the time Liu Qin rushed back to the hospital, I had already disappeared. They searched for me for several days with no news. Until that day, the classroom door opened. The principal asked the students seated inside, "Which one of you is Gu Chen? Please come out for a moment." I quickly set down my book. What matter did the principal have with me? These few people claim to be your mother and sisters. Do you know them? The principal knew I had been an orphan from a young age and had 2 security guards standing behind him, worried these people might be human traffickers. The students in class all looked curiously toward the door. Wow, who are these people? They're all so beautiful. Indeed, even with sunglasses on, all 3 of them had an undeniable presence. Chen, where have you been these past few days? Liu Qin grabbed my hand, tears already falling, but I gave her no face at all. I pulled my hand directly away. I don't know you, please leave, I said, then walked straight back into the classroom. The principal saw the situation and blocked Liu Qin from rushing into the classroom. Since you don't know them, please leave. He then moved to have security escort them away. Until now, apart from the Gu family, nobody knew I was the Gu family's young master lost for 17 years. 3 sister Gu Qingshui, who had been silent the whole time, suddenly took off the sunglasses from her face. Anyone who recognized her would know. She was the recently rising top-tier celebrity. This Gu Chen is really getting out of line. How dare he say he doesn't know us? All right, Liu Chen sighed. Let's go back first. We'll come see him again tomorrow. We have to come again. Gu Qingshui was a little displeased. The way I see it, just wait a while. When he realizes he was wrong, he'll naturally come back on his own. She was certain this was just me playing hard to get. After leaving me in the cold for a few days, I'd come back obediently. Liu Chen wanted to say more but was pulled away by Gu Qingshui. Gu Wangqing also glanced in the direction of my classroom. She did feel guilty toward me, but the fact that I had once stolen her jewelry was real. What if this truly was just me playing hard to get? Better to wait a few days. Maybe I would really come and apologize at their door. Let's go. Eldest sis, today is Ahuai's birthday. Have you prepared a gift for her? Gu Qingshui urged. Of course. Back then, she was the one who pulled me out of the water. She's my most beloved little brother, Gu Wangqing said. At that moment, at the Haishi White Gold Palace Hotel, the entrance was busy with luxury cars and people. Grateful to all of you for honoring us at my son's coming-of-age ceremony. As Father Gu's words fell, the banquet officially began. Over a dozen young heirs and heiresses from prominent Haishi families surrounded Gu Huai, each presenting gifts. Gu Huai's face was full of unstoppable joy. Gu Chen actually left. Now the entire Gu family is mine. Blame no one but yourself. Gu Chen, you never should have come back. Second sister Gu Qinghan, dressed in a gorgeous gown, looked somewhat absent-minded. What's wrong? Gu Wangqing asked. Nothing, just thinking of a Chen. At that, Gu Wangqing also fell silent. Indeed, today was also my birthday. Eldest sis, second sis, where are my gifts? Gu Huai walked over and sat beside them, full of anticipation. Gu Wangqing pulled a beautifully crafted box from behind her. This is a Patek Philippe watch. Do you like it? I love it. Thank you, eldest sis, Gu Huai said happily, then turned to Gu Qinghan. Second sis, where's my gift? You didn't forget, right? Gu Qinghan snapped back. Of course not, little brother. This is what second sis prepared for you. A Porsche. Now that you're an adult, you need a car of your own. Only Gu Huai didn't notice the small box Gu Qinghan was hiding behind her. Inside was the puppet I had smashed, repaired by her own hands. I'm stepping out. Before Gu Huai could even thank her, Gu Qinghan took the small box and quickly left. When I returned to the orphanage, I found it completely empty. What happened? Is something wrong? I opened the door anxiously, and then a burst of confetti exploded and drifted slowly down onto my shoulders. Happy birthday, Gu Chengge. Over a dozen children swarmed onto me like they were climbing trees. Gu Chengge, this is your birthday gift. I drew it for you myself. A little girl named Xiao handed me a painting made of countless tangled lines. I'd call it a masterpiece of abstract art, but I accepted it with full sincerity. Gu Chengji, this is my blazing whirlwind spinning top. You better cherish it. And my Ultraman cards. Looking at all the chaotic gifts, spinning tops, yo-yos, Ultraman cards, I was caught between laughing and crying, but accepted each one solemnly. Because I knew these seemingly worthless things were the very best these little kids could give. All right, get down. Do you want to crush Gu Chengge? A 15 or 16-year-old girl stood up. The children scattered back to their seats like they'd seen a monster. This girl was Mu Wanning. She handed me a jar of paper cranes. This is for you. Looking at the jar packed full of colorful cranes, my heart warmed. I understood. She had folded these one by one in whatever tiny pockets of time she'd stolen from studying. Gu Chen, don't read into it. I bought these. They're not handmade, Mu Wanning explained in a fluster. I ruffled her small head. I know. Thank you. As the birthday song rang out, a tear slid quietly from the corner of my eye. In my last life, I threw everything into those so-called family members and overlooked the people who truly loved me. It turns out that even in this darkness, there was a small candle still burning. Just for me. Like right now. The flame is weak. But it belongs to me, alone. All right. Turn the lights on. I'll cut the cake for everyone. I blew out the candles, but made no wish. Rather than putting faith in wishes that vanish into nothing, I'd rather trust in myself. The cake was small. Everyone only got a tiny bit. Mu Wanning saw I hadn't saved any for myself and was instantly annoyed. But still, with all her signature pride, she pushed her own piece over to me. This one's for you. Don't read into it. I'm dieting. I smiled at Mu Wanning, who was even thinner than me, took just a small piece and tasted it. Outside the orphanage, a figure in a gorgeous gown paced back and forth. Finally, as if having made up her mind, Gu Qinghan lifted her skirt and stepped across the old worn threshold. When I saw Gu Qinghan, I couldn't help but sigh. Haven't I already left that home to Gu Huai and the rest of them? Why do they still refuse to let me go? Do they have to burn me alive before they're satisfied? Gu miss, if there's nothing you need, please go back. Gu Qinghan grabbed my hand. Come back with me. Just apologize. They won't say anything. A trace of sadness rose in my heart. Then please, Gu miss, tell me why I should apologize. What did I do wrong? Gu Qinghan stumbled for a long time like a fishbone caught in her throat. Not a single word came out. She knew I had done nothing wrong. She just still thought I was like before. That no matter whose fault it was, I would take the initiative to apologize. Because in her eyes I was a wild, uncultured child from the streets. You shouldn't have used that agreement to threaten us, Gu Chen. Why do you insist on driving Ahui away? On one side there's the foster brother I've cared for over 10 years. On the other is my blood-related little brother. How am I supposed to choose? Don't go too far. Have you ever truly treated me as your little brother? I shot back. In the rainstorm, you made me kneel outside for a whole day and night. I had a high fever. But you were busy celebrating that fake little brother's birthday. I seemed to give up on arguing. I sighed. Forget it. Leave. Placing hope in so-called family once was enough in the last lifetime. But Gu Qinghan still clung tightly to my arm. I'm sorry. I was wrong before. I shouldn't have said those things. Here, this is the birthday gift I prepared for you. She opened a small box. Inside was the puppet I had smashed, repaired with her own hands. I fixed it myself. I picked up the puppet and examined it carefully. Thank you. But the very next second, under Gu Qinghan's shocked gaze, I dropped the puppet directly into the nearby trash can. With my own hands, I threw away what I once treasured more than life itself. Gu Qinghan walked home in a daze. When she arrived, everyone had been waiting for her for quite a while. Where did you go during your little brother's coming-of-age ceremony? Father Gu was furious. Gu Qinghan came back to herself, looked at everyone in front of her, and said word by word, I went to see Chen. A thunderous crash. Father Gu flung a precious cup onto the floor. Who told you to go see him? Beside him, Gu Huai clenched his palms tight, nails digging into flesh, yet felt nothing. Gu Chen, why won't you just die? You should have died there long ago. Today is Chen's birthday, Gu Qinghan said softly. At that, the room went utterly silent. Even the words Father Gu had been about to shout were lodged in his mouth. If word got out that the Gu family had held such a lavish coming-of-age banquet for a fake young master while driving their biological son away, who knows how many rumors would spread. Liu Qin's eyes instantly reddened. She, as his mother, had actually forgotten her own biological son's birthday. I'm leaving, Gu Qinghan said with a desolate expression. She still couldn't believe I had thrown away, right in front of her, the puppet she had repaired with her own hands. Before, no matter what happened, I always listened to her. She had only scolded me a little. But why had she scolded me again? Oh right, Gu Huai had accidentally broken the puppet's arm. But Gu Huai hadn't done it on purpose. She said she was just curious. Suddenly Gu Qinghan seemed to realize something. Gu Huai had everything, and so why specifically take my puppet? Realizing this, she completely panicked. How could this be? I'm sorry. But now it was all too late. Liu Qin frantically told the driver to start the car. She wanted to go find her son. But what good would that do? Love that comes too late is worth less than grass. And the agreement was already signed. By the time Liu Qin rushed back to the hospital, I was already gone. They searched for me for several days with no news. Until that day, the classroom door opened. The principal asked the students, "Which one of you is Gu Chen? Come out for a moment." I quickly set down my book. Why would the principal be looking for me? These few people claim to be your mother and sisters. Do you recognize them? The principal knew I had been an orphan from a young age and had 2 security guards standing behind him, worried these people might be traffickers. The students all looked curiously toward the door. Wow, who are these people? They're so beautiful. Indeed, even wearing sunglasses, all 3 radiated an unmistakable presence. But Chen, where have you been these past few days? Liu Qin grabbed my hand, tears already falling, but I gave her no face. I pulled my hand directly away. I don't know you. Please leave. I walked straight back to my seat. The principal saw the situation and blocked Liu Qin from rushing into the classroom. Since you don't know them, please leave. He moved to have security escort them out. Until now, no one outside the Gu family knew I was the young master lost for 17 years. Third sister Gu Qingshui, who had been silent the whole time, suddenly pulled off her sunglasses. Anyone who recognized her would know. She was the recently rising top star. This Gu Chen is really getting out of hand. How dare he say he doesn't know us? All right. Liu Qin sighed. Let's go back first and come see him again tomorrow. We have to come again? Gu Qingshui was displeased. Just wait a while. When he realizes he was wrong, he'll naturally come back. She was certain this was just me playing hard to get. After being ignored for a few days, I'd come back obediently. Liu Qin wanted to say more but was pulled away by Gu Qingshui. Gu Wangqing also glanced toward my classroom. She did feel guilty toward me, but the fact that I had once stolen her jewelry was real. What if this was just me playing hard to get? Better to wait a few days. She went back to attend Gu Huai's birthday celebration. The next day, I had an idea to make money by running a street stall, but that required 4,000 yuan in startup funds, which I'd have to save up slowly through work. Just then, Several luxury cars rolled grandly toward where I stood. It was the Gu family. They rushed out of the cars and ran toward me. What's going on? Is there something you need from me, Auntie Lu? I just wanted to hurry up and chase them away. At those words, Lu Qin's heart felt pierced sharply. She hadn't expected me to refuse to even call her mom anymore. Gu Huai's eyes reddened slightly. He reached out trying to grab me, but I shook him off directly. One grown man, always playing the victim. How disgusting. Gu Huai froze on the spot. No one had ever spoken to him like this. Resentment flashed in his eyes. Liu Qin also stared at me in disbelief. In her memory, I had never once cursed at anyone. Looking at the few dazed people in front of me, I actually felt a wave of relief. Turns out once you say what's been rotting inside, your heart really does feel cleaner. Gu Chengge, as long as you're willing to come back, I'll do whatever you say, even if it means leaving this family. Gu Huai began his performance again. There it was. That contrived act I had long grown tired of. On the surface, he was siding with me. In reality, he was adding to the list of my crimes. It's not like that, Auntie Liu. Gu Huai is a good person, isn't he? Chen. Liu Qin looked at me with pleading eyes. She believed I would never truly dare to drive Gu Huai away. Even now, she thought the things I'd said at the hospital were said in anger. If that's the only reason you're all here, I won't be accompanying you. Only Gu Qinghan understood. What I was saying wasn't said in anger. Wait, Mom is here to bring you your birthday gift. Liu Qin finally remembered, and frantically pulled out a delicate little box. I waved my hand. Take it back. My birthday already passed, I said, and closed the door directly and left. My birthday was clearly just yesterday. Sending gifts today. What kind of thing is that? You drove your own biological son away. Wasn't that to keep Gu Huai happy? Now you come looking for me. Isn't that just pathetic? Chen, you open that door. No matter how Liu Qin called, she got no answer from me. The group could only leave in embarrassment. On the way back, Gu Huai sat beside Liu Qin, offering comfort with his mouth, but couldn't stop his lips from curving upward. Gu Qinghan, who had been silent, suddenly looked seriously at Gu Huai. Gu Huai, did you deliberately break Gu Chen's puppet? At that, the spacious car fell silent. Second sis, why would you say that? Gu Huai's eyes instantly reddened again. Liu Qin also stepped in timely to defend Gu Huai. It's just a puppet. Hua didn't do it on purpose, but that puppet was the one I gave Chen. Why did you specifically want that puppet? Gu Qinghan pressed forward. Gu Huai was momentarily speechless, and could only stammer an explanation. I was just curious. I can replace it for Gu Chengge. As long as he's willing to forgive me, I'll do anything. Liu Qin immediately pulled Gu Huai into her arms. All right, Qinghan. Hua didn't do it on purpose. Seeing their mother like this, Gu Qinghan felt her head about to split. Yet she said nothing more. She just sat there in silence. And Gu Huai's aggrieved expression gradually twisted into something else in the place where no one could see. He hated me. Before, second sis had always taken his side. So why today did she question him on my behalf? This gave him a creeping sense of crisis. If things kept going like this, his position might be replaced by mine. If he was really sent away one day, what then? No. He had to make me disappear. Since the plan from a few years ago had failed to kill me, he'd try again. I wanted to see just how many times Gu Chen could dodge. The ride passed in silence. After returning to the Gu family, Gu Qinghan planned to wait a few days before going to find me again. She wanted to ask everything clearly. Father Gu looked around and saw no sign of me. He frowned and felt an involuntary surge of resentment. That kid still won't come back? You tell him. If he doesn't come back, he can forget about ever setting foot in the Gu family again for the rest of his life. Even now, he believed this kind of threat still worked on me. Gu Qing, hearing this, could only shake her head helplessly. Eldest sister Gu Wangqing also crossed her arms irritably. That's right. Regardless of anything else, Gu Chen did steal my jewelry. He had it hidden under his bed. The next day I arrived at school. Class beauty Su Wanro slipped me a letter filled with tender words, then quickly ran off. She was afraid I'd think she was frivolous. She had never dated or written a love letter to anyone in her life. But she knew that if she didn't act soon, she might never get another chance to speak her feelings. Perhaps I didn't remember what happened back then myself. If not for me, she would have been trafficked to a remote mountain village to be married off to some old bachelor. When I reappeared in her line of sight, her heart nearly leapt out of her chest. But she didn't dare say anything, because she didn't have much time left. As a patient with congenital heart disease, Su Wanro had known from a young age that her life could end at any moment. So she never let herself grow close to anyone, afraid that her death would bring pain to those who cared about her. But the day my thin, frail body stood in front of her like a solid wall, she felt a sense of safety she had never known. When I reappeared, she could no longer hold back. She knew what she was doing was selfish, but after handing over the letter, she was flooded with regret. Yet selfishness is human nature. There's nothing wrong with reaching for what you want. All through the afternoon until the end of school, Su Wanro's heart stayed suspended. She kept thinking, what if I rejected her? When I got up from my seat, she stood immediately and quietly followed behind me. Fellow student Gu, I like you. I'm sorry, I have no plans to date anyone right now. I didn't leave her even a shred of hope. I knew she was a good girl. That was precisely why I couldn't hurt her. Fellow student Gu, do you remember me? 5 years ago you saved me. You are. Only then did I recall the girl who had almost been taken by traffickers. Fellow student Gu Shen. You still remember me, right? Fellow student Gu Chen? You'll say yes, won't you? Suddenly Su Wanro started gasping heavily, frantically searching her pocket for something. I quickly pulled out her medication, put it in her mouth, and then brought her, now slightly recovered, to the infirmary. After the doctor heard the whole story, she didn't quite know what to say. She couldn't understand why I would reject such a lovely girl. But she didn't know. Ever since being burned to death in that sea of fire, I seemed to have lost the ability to feel love. I no longer dared to easily trust the love others gave me. It was a kind of fear of love. Suddenly Su Wanro seemed to make up her mind. Since she was already being this selfish, she might as well go all the way. Dr. Liu, could you call fellow student Gu Chen back? When I reappeared, Su Wanro's pale little face bloomed with a faint blush. Fellow student Gu Chen, I actually have congenital heart disease. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have hidden it from you. Congenital heart disease. My brow furrowed even deeper. I might not live much longer, Su Wanro said quietly. I had surgery before, but it barely helped. The doctor said I might not live to 20. That I could die at any moment. Then she looked at me and said the most difficult words she had ever spoken. Fellow student Gu Chen, 1 month, all right? Just 1 month. Given that I don't have much time left, please. Her tears flowed without stopping. She didn't even dare to look at my face. She felt that using her illness to morally pressure me made her a selfish and shameless woman. But looking at her lying there on the hospital bed, I ultimately nodded. I understood that feeling of desperately longing to be loved. I understood even more the pain of reaching for something and never being able to touch it. I didn't want her to be tormented by that same feeling. Perhaps what she felt toward me was only temporary, or perhaps she had mistaken past gratitude and dependence for love. But time would show her the truth. Su Wanro quickly sat up, her cool and pale little hands grabbing mine. Gu Chen Ge, do you remember? Back then you held my hand just like this and walked with me for a long, long time. Careful now, I'm telling you both. The class Dr. Liu looked helplessly at us, feeling like she was being fed a bowl of dog food. But she felt more sympathy for Su Wanro. What a pity she wasn't a specialist in this area. Perhaps she could ask her mentor. But she didn't know that Su Wanro's family had taken her to the best hospitals, and all had reached the same conclusion. Even a heart transplant might not cure her. On the way home, Su Wanro carefully asked, Gu Chenge, can I walk home with you every day? Of course. I smiled and ruffled her hair. What about going on a date on the weekend? Su Wanro had no idea why she was so bold today. Her ears turned red on their own. Just then, a Porsche stopped beside me. Third sister Gu Qingshui's face appeared behind sunglasses. Gu Chen, get in. I'm busy. I bluntly pulled Su Wanro along and walked briskly forward. Gu Qingshui was instantly unhappy. This little brother was getting more and more out of line. Gu Chen, I just want to talk. Are you going to stop listening to your sister now? Don't believe me. I'll tell the principal about your relationship tomorrow. I sighed. Let me drop Wanru home first. Soon after, Gu Qingshui brought me to a restaurant and got straight to the point, pulling out a bank card. There's 2 million here. I couldn't help but laugh. I hadn't expected the cliched rich family drama to happen to me. I know you've suffered these years. But this money is enough to improve your life. Take it. Stop clinging to the Gu family. Stop dreaming of coming back, and stop dreaming of anything else. Gu Qingshui's tone suddenly sharpened. This is your only chance. Take the money and disappear from our sight. Otherwise I'll make sure you regret it. In her heart, this biological little brother of hers couldn't compare to Gu Huai at all. After all, Gu Huai had once saved her life. She believed I was willing to leave the Gu family only to pursue greater benefit. But when she looked at me again, I was unhurriedly sipping my tea. What, 2 million isn't enough for you? Name your number. I'll satisfy it. Gu Qingshui laughed furiously. Without the Gu family, you'd still be an orphan. The Gu family was willing to take you in. Then 100 million, I said flatly. 100 million? Are you crazy? Gu Qingshui angrily slammed the table. I knew you were after the Gu family's assets. 100 million? You have some nerve. That's right, I've gone crazy. If you don't give me 100 million, I'll cling to you every single day, I said with a smile. Gu Qingshui quickly realized she had been played. Fine. Gu Chen, don't say I didn't warn you. She was about to throw the water in her hand at me, but I snatched it first and splashed it right back in her face. Gu Chen, she never expected I would dare do that. Before, this cheap little brother would barely breathe in her presence, terrified of upsetting her. You have issues. Go see a doctor. Don't come find me, I said coldly. And for the record, up to now, I have never been the one seeking out the Gu family. Every single time it's been you coming to bother me. But believe whatever you want, don't bother me anymore. I stood up and left without giving her another glance. On the way back to the orphanage, I replayed the day and found it all rather unbelievable. I hadn't expected the girl I had saved back then to be Su Wanro, but I think I saved someone else too. Only the time was so long ago I can't remember clearly. I'll take it one step at a time. This life I only want to stay as far away from the Gu family as possible. Every time I see a Gu family face I'm reminded of the scorching pain of being devoured by flames. The next day I went to help out at the infirmary. When I was sick before, a doctor treated me for free. I felt bad about it and had been helping out in the infirmary ever since. Gu Chen, can you do me a favor? Dr. Liu suddenly asked. Someone called K Jen has been bothering me. There's a business banquet tomorrow. I want you to pretend to be my boyfriend so he'll finally give up. Sure. But I need to tell Wanru first. After all, she's my girlfriend. Don't worry, I'll talk to Wanru myself. I'll make sure she doesn't misunderstand. Just as I reached the orphanage door, I saw a somewhat worn-looking Gu Qinghan standing outside. Gu miss, what are you doing here? Chen, would you invite JJ in to sit? Gu Qinghan looked uneasy, as if afraid I'd refuse. She guessed right. Without a moment's hesitation, I refused directly. If you have something to say it here. But Gu Qinghan pulled out the puppet I had thrown away again. Chen, come home with GAG. I'll explain things to mom, dad, and eldest sis. She finally understood how terribly she had treated me before. How will you explain? I looked at her with genuine interest. You impulsively severed ties this time. I believe mom and dad won't. Gu Qinghan's words weren't finished before I cut her off. Then how will you explain my stealing of Gu Wangqing's jewelry? Gu Qinghan was immediately silenced. I kept her gaze and continued. And my socializing with shady people? How will you explain that? And how I supposedly wanted to have Gu Huai beaten? How will you explain that? Say something. How will you explain? I wanted to see what she would say. They had always been like this, passing judgment on me based on Gu Huai's few words alone. Anytime I tried to explain it was seen as lacking remorse. Oh right, before I was burned to death what was I locked up for again? Oh, it seemed Gu Huai had told them I was in an early relationship with some delinquent girl and had gotten her pregnant. I laughed coldly. That family was truly laughable. They condemned me without knowing anything, just based on a photo of me and that girl. And I didn't even know her, let alone any early relationship. And just like that I had died in that fire without ever being cleared of the charges. And Gu Qinghan, at the time, you didn't even think of me. Your little brother locked in solitary, did you? Chen, just swallow your pride. Isn't that okay? Gu Qinghan's eyes were bloodshot. She couldn't understand why I simply refused to back down. If I just backed down, I could return to the Gu family. I wouldn't have to live in this rundown orphanage anymore. Back down? I laughed. Gu Qinghan, haven't I backed down enough? Before all this, I valued family more than my own life. And in the end, what did I get for it? Bias. Prejudice. Your mother said she treated everyone equally, but look at what she actually did. Afraid that Gu Huai would think they didn't want him, she left me alone at home while they went on a family vacation together. What kind of equal treatment is that? Gu Qinghan stared blankly at the puppet in her hand, and finally turned and left. I let out a breath. Tomorrow was the weekend. Where should I take Su Wanro on a date? I know nothing about dating. Maybe I should ask Mu Wanning. She's also a high schooler. I had barely gotten back to the orphanage and told Mu Wanning when she shoved me right back out. Get out. No matter how I knocked, she wouldn't respond. Inside the room, Mu Wanning curled up on her small bed, biting down hard on her lip, but the tears still fell. We promised to always be together. So why are you leaving me behind? Gu Chengji is a big liar. She had been sent to the orphanage when she just started primary school. That same year, her parents had died together in a car accident. After her relatives seized the family's property, they dumped her in the orphanage. Back then she understood nothing, only that everyone around her had changed. When classmates found out she was an orphan, they mocked and bullied her. Girls jealous of her looks used scissors to cut her hair. Children's cruelty is no less than an adult's, sometimes worse. It was I who stepped forward and shielded her, cutting those troublemakers' hair the same way. From that day on, everyone at school knew. She wasn't an orphan. She had a super powerful big brother. Back then she had asked me, "Can we be together forever?" After getting a yes, she was completely at ease. Half an hour later, Mu Wanning's door opened. Her eyes carried a smile. "Gu Chen, why don't you take me along too? I'll personally guide you. How about that? You're not allowed to refuse." Seeming to notice my hesitation, she added, "Don't worry, I'll just follow behind. I won't disturb you too." Fine, fine. I was terrified of upsetting her again, but I still planned to check with Su Wanro first. How many people would beg me for a favor, and I wouldn't even look at them? Mu Wanning said with a snap and shut her door again. She pressed her back against it, clutching tightly the pendant at her neck. This was the only thing her mother had left behind. A small gang had snatched it once, and it was I who chased them down and got it back. Gu Chenge, don't leave me. A flicker of loneliness passed through the young girl's eyes. The next afternoon after school, I told Su Wanro that Mu Wanning wanted to come along. Su Wanro was very gracious. That's fine. I don't mind. We confirmed the time and place, then parted. When I arrived back at the orphanage, a figure suddenly rushed at me and raised a hand to slap my face. It was Gu Wangqing. What did you do to Qinghan? Gu Wangqing's eyes were full of hatred. Gu Qinghan had locked herself in her room since yesterday and refused to come out, a whole day and night. And she had come to find me before this, so something must have happened. But just as that palm was about to land on my face, I grabbed it directly, pushed hard, and Gu Wangqing stumbled backward in surprise, nearly tripping on a piece of rubble. I'm truly done with this. You people, every last one of you. Something wrong with your heads? What does he have to do with me? I was actually on the verge of laughing. This family was still the same, always loving to blame me. The only person Qing'an saw last night was you. Who else could it be? I knew you had no good intentions, Gu Wangqing said through gritted teeth. I'd always known his character was bad, that he liked to steal things, but I never thought he'd go after second sister. So tell me, what did I do to Gu Qinghan? I knew better than to fall into the trap of defending myself. When I used to be wrongly accused, I would desperately try to prove my innocence. But it didn't work. They had already decided the truth in their minds. I was temporarily at a loss for words because she genuinely didn't know what I had done. If you can't say it, then get the hell out of here. I moved to close the big door. Gu Wangqing hastily held up a hand. Wait, come back with me and explain yourself. Otherwise, I'll make sure this orphanage can't keep running. I mean it. Those words made my hand slow just slightly before closing the door. I can't let an orphanage suffer because of a moment's anger. Otherwise, what kind of man would I be? To think that the great businesswoman Gu Wangqing would use over a dozen orphanage children as a threat against someone. Truly impressive. I said coldly, I didn't. Gu Wangqing then realized she had misspoken. But the words were out. Nothing to take back. It's all because of you, Gu Chen. If you'd just come back with me and explained, would I have brought up the orphanage? Same as always. No matter what. It's my fault. Nothing to do with her. Have I not been well-behaved enough? Before, all it took was one word from you and I'd be kneeling outside in the rain for an entire night. Wasn't that well-behaved enough? My good eldest sis Gu Wangqing grabbed me and tried to push me toward the car. That's because you were stealing. If not for that, why would we treat you that way? We just wanted to teach you a lesson. Then how are you so certain it was me who stole? Because it was found under your bed. Who else would it be? I sat in the car and laughed coldly. So anything found under my bed is something I stole? Gu Wangqing was momentarily speechless and could only drive in silence. I waved my hand dismissively. Fine, your brain can't manage it. I didn't even have a key to your room. Gu Wangqing then remembered, I truly had no key to her room. The whole Gu family. Only she had her own key. Suddenly she recalled that Gu Huai had asked her for a key once, saying he needed to retrieve something for father. Impossible. Gu Huai wouldn't do that. I'll look into this myself, Gu Wangqing said. Preferably, don't look into it. The moment you find something, you'll come bother me again, I said with a bored yawn. Soon the Gu family gate appeared ahead. Word had gotten out that I was coming back. Father Gu had already seated himself in the main position early. He knew I would definitely come back. Life outside could never be as comfortable as the Gu family. This time he would give me a proper lesson. Even as his biological son, I couldn't be so disrespectful, threatening him with severing family ties. Outrageous. You still know to come back. The moment I walked in, Father Gu slammed the table, trying to put me on the back foot. Then I'm leaving. Without a moment's hesitation, I turned right back around. If you don't welcome me, why call me back? Seriously, something wrong with this family's heads. Liu Qin quickly jumped up to stop me and shot Father Gu a fierce glare at the same time. Ah Chen, you've suffered these past days. She reached out to touch my head with eyes full of warmth. But I dodged. Not at all. I've been very comfortable these days. Please don't trouble yourself, Auntie Liu. These days without facing the Gu family's endless humiliation and silence. All I had to do was study. They were the most comfortable days I'd had. At those words, Father Gu stood up furiously. What do you mean, Auntie Liu? She is your mother. I met his gaze without backing down. Mother. A biological mother who spends her own son's birthday accompanying an adopted child, leaving her own biological son alone at home. Going on a vacation, afraid the adopted child would feel upset, she abandoned her own son again. You call that a mother? The moment I finished, silence fell over the room. After saying it all out loud, my heart did feel lighter. Father Gu was speechless. He knew it was all true. Liu Qin also froze. She hadn't realized that all those times she'd prioritized Gu Huai's feelings. She had done such terrible things to me. So in my eyes, she really didn't count as a mother. Is HN back? Gu Qinghan, who had been locked in her room, heard my voice and rushed out frantically. Her hair was disheveled and her eyes were bloodshot. Clearly the past day and night had not been easy on her. HN, are you willing to come back? I stood expressionlessly in the doorway. It's your good eldest sis. She used the dozen or so children at the orphanage as a threat. Otherwise, do you think I'd be here? At that, everyone's eyes landed on Gu Wangqing. I was just too worried about second sister. What did I do wrong? Gu Wangqing frantically tried to explain. Then she shifted her gaze to me. If you had just come back, would I have said that? I let out an indifferent laugh. So it's still my fault? How typical. All right. Put all of this aside for now, HN. If you still want to return to the Gu family, apologize to everyone one by one. I can let bygones be bygones. That agreement can be voided. Remember, this is your last chance. Father Gu walked up to me. This was the greatest concession he could make. Excuse me? I thought I had misheard. Let bygones be bygones? Last chance? Thank you so much for allowing me to return to the Gu family, Mr. Gu. But perhaps you don't realize, these days it's been the Gu family coming to me repeatedly. When did I ever say I wanted to come back? Father Gu gave a confident cold snort. HN, you remember, this is your last chance. Even if you come crying to me later, I will never let you set foot in the Gu family again. Then I really must thank you. I turned and left, but I was pulled back again by Gu Qinghan. HN, just apologize. Isn't it good to stay in the Gu family? I coldly shook off her hand. You want me to stay in the Gu family like a dog? Only then are you satisfied? Get lost, Gu family dog. I've been one long enough. This time I want to be a person. I had barely stepped out the door when I ran into Gu Huai coming back from outside, with 4 or 5 friends in tow. Gu Huai, who is this? Someone asked curiously. That question made Gu Huai break into a cold sweat. The Gu family had never publicly revealed my identity. None of these people had seen me before. If I let them know I was the real young master, what would they think? Just as Gu Huai was about to speak, I cut in. Who am I? I'm his older brother. Gu Huai's heart went half cold. Before, to avoid his identity being exposed, he had always coaxed me into never revealing the truth to anyone. And I had indeed never exposed him. He didn't understand why I said it so directly this time. Big brother? A Huai? We never knew you had a big brother. Everyone looked at Gu Huai with suspicion. A few cold drops of sweat formed at his temple. Just as Gu Huai wanted to explain, I spoke again. Not blood-related, I'm the nanny's child. Seeing how tense Gu Huai looked, I found it quite entertaining. He was so afraid of his real identity being exposed. Hadn't he been saying he'd give my identity back to me? So why was he silent now? Oh, I see. Huai, how come you never mentioned him before? Gu Huai could only laugh awkwardly. I must have forgotten. Your memory is really not great, is it? What does the doctor say? No problems, right? I stepped forward and clapped him on the shoulder. After all, living with that family for so long, it'd be normal to have brain problems. You all go in first. I have a word for Gu Huai, I said to his friends. They nodded and headed toward the entrance. You're afraid of your identity being exposed. I don't care about his feelings. In the last life I was deceived by that very face, and only realized as I burned to death, that every accusation I'd suffered all those years was his doing. Gu Chenge, what are you saying? How could you think that? Gu Huai's eyes reddened again, as if he would cry the next second. Cut the crap. If you dare to fake it again, I'll tell everyone the truth right now, I said flatly. I refused to put up with this act. Gu Huai could only drop the pitiful expression. Just then, as if he had seen something, he grabbed my arm and swung it toward his own face. Gu Chenge, if you hit me, and that's what it takes for you to forgive me, then go ahead and hit me. Seeing this performance, I didn't even need to guess. Someone must have been coming up behind me. Gu Chen, what are you doing? Sure enough, a furious shout came from behind. Gu Qingshui came running over angrily and shielded Gu Huai. Gu Chen, how dare you lay a hand on a Huai? Gu Huai's eyes were still red. Still. Sis Gu Qingshui, don't blame Gu Chenge. It's my fault for upsetting him. As long as Gu Chenge is willing to come back, he can hit me however he likes. With that, a couple of tears actually fell as he dramatically covered his faintly reddened cheek as if concealing my crime. Gu Chen, don't ever dream of coming back to the Gu family. The Gu family has no room for someone as vicious as you. Gu Qingshui said bitterly. I waved my hand and walked directly toward them. You two, remember this. The Gu family means nothing to me. Even if you kneel and beg me, I won't go back. With that, I raised my palm and slapped Gu Huai on the other cheek. The slap stunned Gu Huai completely. He had never thought I'd actually dare to hit him. Good feel. Let me even out both sides for you. No need to thank me. I looked at the Gu family's shocked expressions, completely unruffled. What? Wasn't this what you expected? After all, I'm that vicious. I'll be going now. Report however you like. Preferably make sure I can never walk through the Gu family's doors again for the rest of my life. I left without looking back. This should put an end to the Gu family coming to bother me. And Gu Huai's eyes at that moment looked like they had been laced with poison, staring hard at my retreating back. Today was the day I was pretending to be Dr. Liu Ruyan's boyfriend at the banquet. But I hadn't expected eldest sister Gu Wanqing to be there as well, and in order to win a $1,000,000 deal, she had deliberately smeared my name in public. At that moment, Father Gu solemnly produced a business proposal. This proposal I've worked on to perfection. You'll take her to meet Liu Ruyan shortly. As long as we secure the Liu family's cooperation this time, the entire Haishi, the Gu family will be second to none. Oh right, Wanqing. Do you know anything about the Liu family's eldest daughter, Liu Ruyan? I've done some research. She's a top graduate from the Capital Medical University. She recently came to a school in Haishi as the school doctor. Which school? Gu Wangqing said. A proper Liu family heiress from the capital coming to work as a school doctor. How unusual. Apparently it's number 2 middle school, Gu Chen's school previously. Gu Wangqing thought of the time she had threatened me with the orphanage and felt some guilt. And the matter of the stolen jewelry, she hadn't actually investigated before blaming me. Maybe we should let Gu Chen come back. Father Gu heard that and furiously slapped the table. I already gave him a chance. And what did he do? I've said it. Unless he apologizes to everyone, he's not coming back to this family. Looking at her father in front of her, Gu Wangqing could only sigh. She knew I wouldn't apologize, but Father Gu, as the head of the family, would never allow anyone to challenge his authority. At that moment, Liu Ruyan was guiding me and Su Wanro to a secluded corner of the room. She really didn't want to be disturbed by all these people. By the way, Dr. Liu, how should I act as your boyfriend later? I asked. I've thought it through already. Have your little girlfriend take a bite of a pastry, then you feed the rest to me. That person will naturally believe us, Liu Ruyan said. At those words, Su Wanro's small face instantly flushed bright red. Isn't this basically an indirect kiss? Just then, Kei Zhen walked over. Miss Liu Ruyan. What a coincidence. Perhaps it's fate, not a coincidence at all. And this is my boyfriend. Liu Ruyan pulled me right in front of her. Babe, open up. She picked up a pastry that had been bitten into and personally offered it to my mouth. This pastry had been bitten by Su Wanro earlier. By now Su Wanro's face was red beyond description. Seeing this, Kei Zhen took 2 disbelieving steps back. Liu Ruyan, you actually have a boyfriend? But isn't the age gap between you two a bit much? That's none of your business. I just like them young, Liu Ruyan said coldly. Fine. Very well. Kei Zhen left through gritted teeth. The viciousness in his expression revealed his true intentions. Since he couldn't touch Liu Ruyan, this pampered Liu family heiress, couldn't he at least deal with this pretty boy? Eldest sister Gu Wangqing, who had just come downstairs, saw this scene and was utterly speechless. Why does Gu Chen know Liu Ruyan? And why are they so close? Has this little brother of mine been kept by someone? At that thought, Gu Wangqing felt a wave of helplessness. Given my attitude toward the Gu family, this cooperation was going to be incredibly difficult. I took Su Wanro's hand to say goodbye to Liu Ruyan and was about to leave when Gu Wangqing saw me turning to go and immediately called out, Hey Chen, wait, you know Liu Ruyan? How is she surprised? Gu Wangqing is the most sought-after business talent in Haishi. Logically, how could Gu Chen, a student, possibly know someone like her? Though they shared the same surname, she hadn't connected them as family. After all, Gu Chen had once fainted from low blood sugar and malnutrition, and she knew he lived in an orphanage. The gap between the two was simply too wide. Met her a few times. Not close, I said flatly. Those few words cut deep into Gu Wangqing's heart. She immediately grabbed my hand. Ah Chen, come home with Jie. Just say you're sorry. I noticed something off. When had Gu Wangqing become this easy to talk to? Suddenly I thought of Liu Ruyan standing beside me. You don't need to put on an act. My dealings with Liu Ruyan, I won't interfere, I said, then shook off her hand and left the banquet. Liu Ruyan watched Gu Wangqing with amused interest. You're Gu Chen's sister? Not to embarrass you, Liu miss. This little brother of mine is a bit unruly. Gu Wangqing thought, since I hadn't told Liu Ruyan anything about the Gu family, this was her chance. I'd love to hear more. Please, Gu miss, tell me more about Gu Chen. I'd like to know. Liu Ruyan smiled. At the banquet, the other prominent Haishi families saw the Liu family's representative chatting warmly with Liu Ruyan and felt their hearts sink. Looks like this time the cooperation with the capital's Liu family was going to the Gu family. What luck. I'm sorry about this, Gu Chen. This is all for the Gu family, Gu Wangqing said to herself. Then with a troubled face, she turned to Liu Ruyan. Miss Liu, my little brother, his hands aren't exactly clean. He stole my necklace before. But I never blamed him. I just wanted him to learn from it. Liu Ruyan's face clouded with anger. I hadn't expected Gu Chen to be that kind of person. Truly, you never really know someone. This is none of his fault. But no matter what, he shouldn't have severed ties with his own family, Gu Wangqing added. Severed ties? Only now did Liu Ruyan understand why I was living in an orphanage, why I couldn't scrape together even a few hundred yuan and had to work at her place to pay off a debt. Exactly, the family only forgot to arrange a driver for him, and he, Gu Wangqing, was about to continue when Father Gu, who had spotted his daughter chatting happily with Liu Ruyan from a distance, broke into a grin. As long as they could secure the cooperation with the capital's Liu family, the Gu family's rise in Haishi was imminent. Gu Wangqing seized the moment and slid the proposal across to Liu Ruyan. Oh, Miss Liu, this is the Chu Group's business proposal. Please take a look. But Liu Ruyan folded her arms and looked at her coldly. Why does the Gu Chen I know look nothing like the person you're describing? No wonder Gu Chen looks the way he does. It turns out he's been hurt that deeply by the Gu family. Miss Gu, you said Gu Chen has unclean hands and stole your necklace. But before, Gu Chen went without treatment money and was willing to work in my place for a whole month just to pay back a debt of a few hundred yuan. Do you really think he would steal your necklace? He would even go out of his way to get into trouble with people I couldn't afford to cross, just because of a small act of kindness toward him. Do you honestly believe he's as worthless as you say? Biased people see everything through the lens of their own bias. So, Miss Gu Wenqing, I think there's genuinely no need for our two families to cooperate. Lu Ruyan turned and left without a single look back. Gu Wenqing, pale-faced, reached out her hand. Miss Liu, wait, is Gu Chen doing well lately? What use is asking now? You're the very culprits who hurt him, Liu Ruyan said coldly. The guests at the banquet watched Liu Ruyan leave without accepting the proposal, and all took secret delight. Father Gu strode over and loudly demanded, what happened? Why did Miss Liu leave? Gu Wenqing only rubbed her temples. I'm a bit tired. I'm heading home first. She now only wanted to go home and investigate the truth of what had happened all those years ago, whether I had really stolen her jewelry. Meanwhile, back at the orphanage, I ran into third sister Gu Qingshui. After investigating, she had found that the small boy who saved her from drowning all those years ago was in this area. Though she had come to look for him, and the area wasn't huge, she'd been searching for several days with no leads. She only knew the boy had been very thin and tall. After so many years, she wasn't sure what he looked like. Continuing to search felt like looking for a needle in the ocean. Yes, I live here now too, I said without feeling the slightest embarrassment about living in an orphanage. Gu Qingshui looked at the surroundings in disbelief. This place is actually livable? For a pampered heiress like her, a place like this was simply unimaginable. Come to think of it, do you remember anyone around here who was tall and thin? About my age? Gu Qingshui suddenly asked. I was a little puzzled. Tall and thin. Who are you looking for? Gu Qingshui was just about to answer when her phone suddenly rang. What? There's a lead? I'll be right there. She hung up and left in a hurry, leaving me standing there confused. I shook my head. How is every single member of the Gu family more abnormal than the last? After Gu Qingshui walked away, a figure appeared. It was Gu Huai. Gu Huai, what are you doing here? I frowned. Shouldn't he still be in the hospital? Gu Huai walked up to me without any pretense, his expression vicious. Gu Chen, as long as I'm here, you'll never return to the Gu family. This was the face he never showed in front of others. Perhaps this was his true face. Are you never going to stop? I grabbed him by the collar. This kid, truly relentless. I've said it over and over. I'm not going back to the Gu family. Gu Chen Ge, what are you doing? Let go of me. Gu Huai began playing the victim again. I smiled with resignation. Sure enough, the very next second, Lu Qin and Father Gu appeared right behind me. Chen, what do you think you're doing? Let go of your little brother, Liu Qin cried out urgently. I had a pretty good idea of what was going on. Gu Huai had slipped out of the hospital and deliberately provoked me into striking him. It had all been arranged in advance. Chen, can you let go of your little brother first? Liu Qin stepped forward to stop me. Gu Huai kept on performing. Mom, let Gu Chengi hit me. As long as he's willing to come home, he can do whatever he wants. Seeing his tearful look, Liu Qin was heartbroken. Chen, your little brother just wants you to come home. Don't make it hard for him. We can all sit down and talk. I let out a scoffing laugh. Is that right? Then I suppose I should thank my good little brother. With that, I gave Gu Huai 2 slaps, ignoring the shocked stares, and leaned close to his ear. You didn't learn your lesson last time. Make sure you remember this one. I tossed Gu Huai aside and walked back into the orphanage. Last time I hit him right in front of Gu Qingshui and still did it. Now he tries the same trick. I'm not coddling him. He can come as many times as he wants. I'll hit him every single time. I've never planned on going back to the Gu family. After getting hit, Gu Huai went pale and fainted again. Lu Qin could only take him to the hospital first. Any thought of chasing after me was gone. By the time Gu Qingshui reached the hospital, she heard Father Gu's furious voice. No matter what, Gu Chen should not have laid a hand on his little brother. How is A Huai? Did that brat Gu Chen hit him again? Gu Qingshui asked. Gu Huai forced himself to sit up. It's not Gu Chenji's fault. I was too hasty. I made him angry. Seeing his aggrieved look, Gu Qingshui grew even angrier. I'll go find him and make him come apologize to Ah Huai. With that, she turned and left, no matter how Lu Qin called after her. Gu Huai's heart leapt with secret delight. He was the one who had called Gu Qingshui, pretending there was a lead. He had discovered that the person who had truly saved Gu Qingshui that day was me. He absolutely could not let this come to light. Otherwise, his standing in the Gu family would be completely shaken. Before, Father Gu, Lu Qin, and all 3 sisters had stood firmly by his side. But now, because of my departure, everything had changed. Gu Xinghan was questioning him over the puppet. Gu Wenqing's attitude toward him was also off. He absolutely could not let me return to the Gu family. He had to actively crush me beneath his feet. Gu Qingshui arrived at the orphanage and pushed open the door. Gu Chen, get out here. I knew she must have come for Gu Huai. What did A Huai do? A Huai is still in the hospital. Gu Qingshui grabbed my collar. Her eyes burned with rage. Look at you now, hitting people at the drop of a hat. You're nothing but an irrational, violent maniac. I was suddenly amused. Then what was I like before? Since I wasn't like this before, I should have been very much to your liking then, right? Is that right, my good sis? Gu Qingshui was struck speechless. She wasn't unaware of the conditions I had lived under in the Gu family. She had had a hand in making me this way too. Regardless, you shouldn't have hit A Huai. Come with me to the hospital and apologize. Gu Qingshui was going down one path no matter what. She knew she was in the wrong, yet kept pushing forward anyway. In her heart, this biological little brother of hers simply couldn't compare to Gu Huai, who had saved her life. I can come with you and apologize, but you have to swear never to come bother me again. I looked at her coldly. What do you mean? What do you mean bother you? Am I not caring about you? Gu Qingshui shouted. Caring about me? Coming over in the middle of the night to make things difficult for me. That's caring? Forcing me to apologize to some little creep. That's caring? I shook off her hand and turned back inside. I hate people who say one thing and mean another. Clearly it's just about the debt. But they have to pretend it's all for my own good. Gu Chen, if you don't come to the hospital and apologize, don't ever dream of me agreeing to let you back into the Gu family. Gu Qingshui shouted. I shook my head. She still thought I wanted to go back to the Gu family. I couldn't wish for better, I said, and closed the door. No matter how she knocked, I didn't open it. Gu Qingshui could only leave in frustration, cursing me in her heart as ungrateful, just waiting for me to come crying back to her. Just then, Gu Qingshui received a call from a private detective. Miss Gu, through big data analysis and on-the-ground investigation, we've determined that the boy who saved you back then currently lives in that orphanage in the area. I'm sending the details to your phone now. Gu Qingshui excitedly opened her phone, and the moment she saw the photo she went blank.